everybody, welcome to Ramsey the South Stand, and I am here for your post-match reaction. West Bromwich Albion 4, Leeds United 1. Interestingly enough, reverting back to my post-match, I addressed the fact that if West Brom were going to be successful in this game, they're going to have to change it around. Boy, did they change it around. A completely different system to their last 3 or 4 games. Went to a back 4, 4-2-3-1. And I said in my pre-match, if you want to go check it out, I sort of focused on Leeds having to deal with that, and they're going to sit in and they're going to let Leeds have the ball. They've had the lowest possession percentage of the top 7 this season of West Brom because they work on the counter-attack. I just don't understand how that can't be addressed in training prior to the game and sort of looking at their weaknesses and their possible lineups. I mean, I'm sure it is addressed, but fundamentally they didn't really hurt us on set pieces, did they? And I think we all thought that, but that wasn't the case. They played football. They played really good football. They played high intensity football, and well done, West Brom. You thoroughly deserve that, and it could have been more. Could have been 6. Rodriguez hit the post. Odorabaggio should have scored in the first half, and they were just all over us. I alluded to it, in the Friday Night Football, that Leeds were pressing really high against Wigan, and we're able to do that, but against teams like West Brom, and I don't think there's many in this division, but against teams like West Brom, you just can't do that. They're too good. They're too good on the attack, they're too good offensively, and they're too quick, and we can't deal with that. And their quality, they've just come down from the Premier League. They've got 100 million in parachute payments coming over the next 3 years. They're a very, very good side. I was saying to my housemate this morning that it only needed that little click, someone to sort of a bit of inspiration for West Brom to click into gear, and that inspiration was Gale. That inspiration was a change in strategy and formation. And I said as well in my pre-match that if they were to play like they did at the start of the season, they're going to be able to beat Leeds. It's not been negative at all, it's been realistic, and I think that's got to be something that Leeds fans and fans in general, we've got to kind of get towards, haven't we? Are we going to make the top 2? I think to make the top 2 we're going to have serious investment. I've seen people, well, I haven't seen people do it actually, I've sort of thought of it in my head when Wolves got battered by Villa last season. Do you remember that? The 4-1 where Villa were just all over them. But Wolves were about 8 points clear at that point, so it didn't really affect them that much. And after every game they got beat, Wolves bounced back with a win. It was something that Nuno Espirito Santos came out and said. It was one of their main successes and main reasons for getting success last season. It was because they always bounced back with a win. Can we do that against Bristol City? I would hope so. Draw's not good enough. We need a win if we want to keep amongst that top 3 and 4. Like I said, I think West Brom have only played 4 games this season where for the full 90 minutes they were dominant, and I think yesterday was the 5th. I think the other 11-12 games they've played this season have not been impressive. Talking to Conor as well from West Brom Fan TV, he didn't seem to think they would have been that impressive this season. But, you know, you're always going to experience those in a season. You're always going to experience it's taken 16 games for us to get hammering. But we were truly hammered, really, really badly actually. And I felt it wasn't such the systems as well, it was more of an attitude yesterday. We just didn't look up for it. They didn't look confident on the ball, and I've thought that for about 6 or 7 weeks now. Leeds are taking 4 or 5 touches when they used to take 1 or 2. Norwich, Derby, Stoke, who were zipping the ball around, and for me we've got to stop referring to that now. That's been and gone, that's dead. Norwich, Derby and Stoke, that's gone. It's dead in the water, it's a while ago now. We've got to always look at the future, and we've got to think to ourselves, how are we going to be able to cope with teams like that again? How are we going to be able to cope with attacking threat? How we're going to be able to cope with this plan B that we seemingly don't have. Game plan from the start was wrong. Bielsa's not exempt from criticism. I know we all love him and all this sort of stuff, but he's not exempt from criticism, and I think he made a lot of fundamental decisions, poor decisions in that game. I thought you start Dallas 100%, I think you've got to do as well, but I think you've got to have possibly Robbie Gotts on the bench. I think you've got to have that substitute on the bench who can come in if Dallas is having a poor game, push Dallas all the way, and then possibly if he's having a poor game, bring him off. I don't understand the Douglas substitution. That was absolute madness. I do not get that. Don't understand that one. And afterwards in the post presser he sort of said something drastic needed to happen. Once again, don't understand that. Was that lost in translation? I'm not 100% sure. Like, why would you take your best player off in that game? For me, Douglas was, and you can see he was visibly frustrated, and 100% you would be, wouldn't you? Because you've still got Dallas and Alioski who are on the pitch. Alioski, once again, one-dimensional, gets the ball. He didn't do a lot wrong yesterday, he really didn't, but he didn't do a lot right either. We don't penetrate when he's on the wing, he doesn't go forward, and Odorabaggio had his number for the whole game, he was winding him up as well. And it's a number of games now, and this is what I mean, guys, with the whole realistic chat. There's a fair few players in that team who I don't think would be in a starting 11 to get promoted to the Premier League, and that needs to change. Whether or not that be by Izzy Brown and Bamford coming back in, whether or not that be 2 or 3, maybe even 4 changes in January, but something does need to happen. I just don't think, I think with the performances over the past 6 to 7 weeks, I don't think that this is a team at the minute who are going to be blowing the league away, and I think we've seen that at the minute. There's a busy Christmas period coming up as well, where there's going to be 6 or 7 games all in a quick succession, 10 days I think it is, 10, 11 days. And we saw under the Monk era, we kind of folded at that point, didn't we? And it was because of squad size, it was because of squad depth and squad size. There's injuries, it happens. I mean, you saw Jansen go down, and I was thinking to myself, Jesus, please, that, you know. But it's like that, isn't it? If a centre back gets injured, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's all about squad depth, and squad depth with quality. You know, you look at even like Borough, Villa, Swansea, teams like that. They've all got sort of quality and depth. And I think Leeds definitely need to address that in the January window. Because we saw it with Brentford, we've seen it with Blackburn, we've seen it with Birmingham, Millwall. These are all games where Leeds sort of needed something off the bench to change it, and we've just not got that. But saying that, he had to bring Saiz on at half time. Another bad decision I thought from Bielsa. Had to bring Saiz on at half time. He draws players in, draws the foul all the time, makes players think, links up with Douglas really well. When Saiz is on form, him and Douglas and Cleek link up very well. I thought having Forshaw start was a bad choice, and I said that in my preview as well. I don't understand why Forshaw started. It's just not the game for Forshaw, I don't think. I think for the West Brom game, you've got to look at the Derby blueprint. You've got to look at the Norwich blueprint of how we went there. We played our stuff and we blew the teams away. You've got to look at that blueprint. I think West Brom are a different beast, but I feel like if we had Saiz on the pitch, we'd have a lot more threat. It was 4 or 5 touches from Forshaw every time he got it. Cleek was restricted. There was no real fluidity in that department. Which leads me on quite nicely to Bailey Peacock-Farrell and the contentious opinion about him being dropped. Does he get dropped? For me, yes. The reason behind that is just because I think he needs. I think when someone gets dropped, we've seen it with De Gea in the past, we've seen it with Courtois in the past. They come back chomping at the bit. They come back chomping at the bit, and they want to get back in that starting lineup, and the performances start to increase and increase and increase. And I think Blackman deserves his chance now. I think he deserves his chance. You can only gain confidence from playing football. And I think Blackman, he looked decent in the under-23s. He seems all right passing it out from the back. Seems as good as Bailey anyway. But that's another mistake, another one, and you could see with his body language as well. It's another mistake. It's a shocking mistake as well. Ball central coming across him, easy palm out wide. I know it was a vicious shot, but 99% of keepers are saving that, and I just thought it didn't cover him in glory at all. And the Dallas situation. Sorry, you just started an out-and-out right-back, and you trust your 18s, you trust your 23s because they're playing the same system as you are. You've got to start Robbie Gotts. You've got to start Robbie Gotts. Called it a while ago, and as we alluded to after Wigan, did Dallas really get tested against Wigan? I'm not 100% sure he did. I mean, it was all very defensive. Leeds had a lot of the ball, and Naismith didn't really penetrate in that department. So Leeds were we were able to contain Wigan quite well, but West Brom just aren't that sort of side. But you're not going to get that sort of side a lot as well. You've got another 2 months where Ayling's out. Is there anyone we can bring in on an emergency loan? Probably not. So for me, you've just got to start blooding Robbie Gotts into the starting lineup, maybe Shackleton as well. But the only reason is I think Gotts is because he's offensively good. He's offensively good, defensively strong, a bigger lad than Shackleton. And Shackleton's not an out-and-out right back. He's done okay there, but defensively he's not that strong. But he's got to change that up. That can't remain there because teams are targeting it. You saw it yesterday. Matt Phillips and Harvey Barnes were just having so much joy. And then when he brought Douglas off, it's just that it continued and it got worse. Bizarre. But yeah, and also the substitution Roof for Tyler Roberts. I mean, why when you're losing the game? The game's pretty much, it's not out of sight by that point. Or they just scored, it might have even been 3-0. Why would you not put Roof and Tyler Roberts on? Just change it a little bit, go more offensive. I don't understand why you go like for like and swap that. It's not working, so change it up anyway. It's all well and good saying all this sort of stuff in hindsight, guys, but that's what this is. It's a review, isn't it? It's a review of the game. You guys all put in the comments what you think and stuff like that. But for me, Bailey Peacock-Farrell, people calling it, saying, oh, he's young, let him have a chance. Okay, well, but where does that end? Is it going to be 4 or 5 matches time if he's made another couple of mistakes? Is it going to be 10 or 11 games time? It's a very difficult decision changing goalkeepers because goalkeepers, they live, don't they, in games on confidence. The thing is with Dallas is people are saying, well, he's not a right back, but it's ball retention, and Phil Hay alluded to it as well. Phil Hay alluded to it in the first 15 minutes of the game as well. He said Dallas is just giving the ball away. Leeds are lacklustre in possession. It's not stopping. It's looking at the game. The first half, Leeds would just look. There was no consistency of play. West Brom looked the more dangerous. I don't think we looked okay. I thought we looked quite poor. You know, it's all well and good having possession with the back two centre halves, but when you can't go forward, when every time you give it to the centre midfielders, they're playing it back, or when you're going out wide, they're losing it, like Dallas was doing continuously, not being able to do the simple things right. And Bielsa must be frustrated, but I don't think he rectified it well. I thought there was a lot of people crying out for Saiz coming on at half time, maybe an additional forward in Tyler Roberts alongside Roof to give him a little bit of support, but he just looked completely isolated. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. A real interesting game that one, wasn't it? We're going to the international break. Hopefully they'll shake things up, Bielsa. Hopefully they'll keep the lads in and we'll get a real good response against Bristol City. But there needs to be a reaction. 100%, because that was just not acceptable. Not acceptable for the travelling fans, not acceptable from the players, and I don't think it was acceptable from the manager either. I know he tried to change things up in a sense of trying to impact the game, but I just don't think they were the right decisions, and there was 2 or 3 in that game as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you later.